the biggest roadblocks we've seen, and but we're working with customers to overcome this, is connection to third-party clouds. Connection. If there's a cloud solutions in general. I mean, of course, we do online banking. You could say, I mean, we all do it, right? So, but in industrial environments, working closely with IT to ensure that how we do safe connectivity down to the shop floor, separating the networks and the OT and IT. Um, that will be an ongoing challenge to that the end user manufacturers have the confidence that if they're making a connection to a cloud solution, that it's safe. And so that we have systems built in security wise, certificates, a whole bunch of reasons. Like, how do we make it robust? How do we make it secure? At least from the Siemens side, that's what we're promoting, and that's what we're working with end customers or any customer to do that. So that's a challenge that we see.
Historically, it's taken a lot of effort to design a custom machine. The customers that are here at the show, they've got unique businesses. You know what I mean? They're in business because they're doing something special. And so there are patterns of their needs, but the products that people are manufacturing and packaging and whatnot are individualized. And so you need to develop custom, for a lot of applications, it's a custom machine. And the process of designing a custom machine takes some expertise, and it takes some time. You need to validate that it's going to work and be safe and all that kind of stuff. So it's just time and money has been a bit of a barrier. The big companies like your automotive companies, they've been able to afford to automate things because they've got the money and they're doing high production. But your small and medium sized companies, the math just hasn't been there to automate smaller scale production or production that might be working on one type of product for a week and then switch over to another type of product. Fortunately, that is starting to change and it is becoming easier and more affordable to do automation. I mean, we're super happy to play a part in that. There's a lot of other great companies here that are playing a part in that trend, but that trend is making it easier. And I just expect us to see more and more automation inside small and medium-sized businesses in the future.
Yeah, I would say that some of the roadblocks for adopting this technology is just its overall reliability. So if you look at it, one of the big challenges is you can always make really cool demos that work in well-contained or specified, situations. That's how demos are, or in a lab. You don't have all the mess of the real world. And so they look really good, but then when you get to the dirty work of the real world, you have edge cases and all these other problems. And so it takes a long time to get the long tail of the problem figured out. So right now, if you look at a lot of new technology as it's entering into the warehouse, they're at like 95, 98%, but a lot of our customers need 99% and above reliability. And I think that's where you see a lot of the roadblock. And we always, in the automation industry, eventually overcome that bar, but it takes longer than people expect.
Well, what I've experienced is that there are many customers that are not leveraging enough the system integrators, which have the experience on what works and what doesn't work. So you can imagine you have a company that says, hey, I'd like to automate somehow, right? But there are a dozen different types of robotic systems, okay? So they try and they buy one robot and they find out that's not really what I want. So instead of bringing a consultant and an expert in that knows which one to use for which type of application, they try and get one and they'll find out you have a cobot sitting in a corner and not being used. So leverage the system integrators who have that experience. They know the business cases. They know how to make that financial return on investment. And they have that engineering experience.
I mean, a lot of our customers are really under that 200,000 benchmark project number because we're hitting those people because a lot of integrators won't even touch a project that's under 200K. They have their overhead. They have things they need to take care of. So we're trying to focus on those small to medium-sized businesses. And so when you're working with businesses like that, a lot of the time is a knowledge thing. They really may not know about any of this stuff that they're seeing. They just know they need it, or somebody told them that they need it, like they need automation. So you're working against this knowledge gap. You're working against people that may have not used the right things the past 10 to 15 years, and you're now trying to tell them, hey, That's really not how that should have been, and that's not how we're going to do it. You're working against that a little bit. And then also just a product thing. You're making sure that you're not just supplying the next latest and greatest widget just because that company says it's the next latest and greatest widget.
Right.
A lot of that really ties into making sure you get not just a solution, but the solution to the customer. And I think those are a lot of barriers that hold us back because we're trying to make sure we overcome that for our customer, but also it's something that we're gonna have to make sure we walk through with the customer so they don't end up getting screwed in the end.
You know, standing here on the floor of Automate 2025 certainly feels like the future is here. What are some of the roadblocks to, you know, broader adoption that, you know, is maybe keeping that future from being more evenly distributed?
I think we're seeing a lot of really unique solutions that solve real problems, but I think people are fearful of the costs, right? That kind of upfront cost and how much of this equipment is going to cost. Are they going to be able to service it over time? And so looking at that at a broad perspective, but what we're seeing is now companies are really having to compete with all these new manufacturers, all these new technologies that are out there. And so the price is coming down more than you may think.